Okay, we are recording and you should be able to see my screen. Somebody give me a yay or a nay. You can see my screen.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining and being punctual. I appreciate it. As always with these monthly trainings, the more participation I get, the quicker we'll get through these and you can get on with your day. So today we're going to be talking about overcoming objections and then some negotiating skills as well. Oh, let me. Oh, there's Carmel. Okay. Welcome, Blake. Thanks for joining. Okay, so first question. What's an objection? Somebody tell me, what is an objection?
Is it like a hot button from the client?
It comes from the client typically, yes.
It's the client pretty much denying that they want to do business with you or denying that they have a need.
They have some type of like hesitation. It may
Or-
be just they need more information.
Right.
Anybody else? I mean, it could just be a simple, clarification that they need on a situation or something that you've gone over through the sales process. So overcoming objection. So objection can be just a simple way, like I said, of a client asking for information and communicating their slight hesitation to move forward and close the business with you. So simply put, a hesitation and unanswered questions is going to equal an objection. So how can we overcome and be prepared for objections? What do we need to do to prepare ourselves for those objections?
Prepare responses.
What was that, Shannon? I'm sorry.
Provide a response, like prepare for
Exactly.
the objections.
Anticipate. Yep.
Find out more information on objection.
Exactly. So if we anticipate some possible objections that might come in further into the training, we'll go over some most common objections and how you can overcome them. So we're going to prepare responses in advance for those anticipated objections that we're going to have. What would be an example of one of the most common objections that I'm sure all of you hear on a daily basis?
Rate's too high.
There you go.
Right.
Ding, ding, you won it. I mean, in COVID times, we think these rates are really low, right, guys? We're like, these aren't high. This is nowhere near what we're used to selling. So if we anticipate, determine the possible objections that are going to have, prepare some responses in advance, and then as we're talking to the client, when they do object, we just need to appreciate and listen to their objection, make sure that we clarify exactly what their objection is, and that can be as simple as just by asking the objection. So let me understand, you said the rate was too high, so give me an example of what rate were you looking for, or what rate have you paid in the past? That would be some kind of a clarification question you could ask the client to clarify their objection and what they were expecting. Good way to overcome objections as well, as we've talked about in previous trainings, those open-ended questions. Those get the client talking more, give you more information on exactly what they're looking for. And then finally, we don't want to take no for an answer, so we're going to address their objection, give them a response, get some feedback from them, and then follow up as necessary. Okay, so what are some other objections that you're hearing besides rate?
I hear a lot about our limited breakfast options right now.
I knew that was going to be a big one. Yeah, breakfast. Anybody else have a common one that they've been hearing recently?
Wish you were pet friendly.
Pet friendly. Who was that? Was that Les?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna be, aren't we, Les?
It's looking that way.
So what questions, some common ones, breakfast location, we talked about the parking, restaurant and bar, what's around you. Those are some common objections that you're going to be hearing. So what are some questions that you can ask customers when they object?
You could ask what other hotels they're looking at so that you can kind of compare other features of your hotel to what you know about the competitor.
Exactly, selling against the competition.
What could we do to address the concern that you have?
Most definitely. What were you expecting? I mean, it could be as simple as that. You want a hot breakfast? Well, what do you expect for a hot breakfast? Okay, so we definitely want to anticipate their objection, and then appreciate comes to where we're clarifying it, just to clarify what their actual objection is. We want to make sure we listen to it fully, clarify, and then probe to find out more. And those are some good examples of some probing questions there. And then finally, we're going to address the objection with the customer. And when it comes to addressing it, the key is to provide an appropriate response and get feedback from the client. That the questions have been answered and that their hesitation is no longer. We've dealt with it. Again, back to the rate example. If they objected to your rate, a good way to address it, our rate is, because what do we have, guys? We have integrity. We have rate integrity. So if someone objects to our rate, we're not just going to automatically drop it because they object to it. We're going to sell our value and reiterate to them what all that awesome rate includes. So for example, our rate includes many of the things you've said that your people need: a business center, a complimentary high-speed internet, a hot breakfast. Are our competitors including that in their rate? Does anyone else have an example of how they've addressed an objection? What about breakfast? How are you overcoming your breakfast objections?
Emphasizing that the grab-to-go breakfast right now is for their protection and the protection of my employees. So emphasizing the health aspect of it. Oh.
Great example. So what does an objection mean to a salesperson? You guys take it negatively?
No. Just take it as a challenge.
There you go. Opportunity. Opportunity. So if the client objects, that means they're interested, but we just need to inform them a little bit more. They need more information. They can be addressed and resolved. There's a better chance of winning the business, and we always want to do that if we're on the phone or in person at that time. We want to close business as quick as possible. And effective salespeople that we are, we anticipate objections in advance and address them when we go to the proposal stage. And objections, they can be verbal, nonverbal as well. Most of them nowadays are probably verbal since we're not getting a lot of face-to-face time with our clients. They can be nonverbal as well. Pay attention to body language, tone of voice, that kind of thing. Okay. So some more common objection topics here. They might not have a desire to change. They could be happy at the hotel that they're currently staying at. different hotels and brands offer different amenities than what some of ours do. So that could be a common objection. We don't have enough space for what they're needing as far as like a meeting room goes. Loyalty rewards program, say they're a very loyal Marriott Bonvoy member and they don't want to switch over to Hilton or IHG rewards. What are some other common objections? Rates, procurement. Maybe they had a bad experience.
A new one that I've heard recently is that the rates are so low everywhere that they're not worried about getting a negotiated rate at a hotel this year. They're just letting everyone kind of choose.
Oh, gotcha. So they're not mandating travel. How are you overcoming that, Michelle?
I've used points incentives to make it more attractive to book at our hotel, even if our rates are similar to some other hotels in the market.
Mm-hmm. Another thing you could do is just inform them, well, you know, these rates aren't going to be low for forever. We are seeing ticks, especially at the airport market right now. You guys are really starting to pick up. So rates will be increasing. Don't you want to lock in a good rate with me now before my prices go much higher than what you're seeing currently? Good example. So some best practices for handling objections. Before proposing solutions, we need to understand the needs and address the concerns. So understanding the company's current and future hotel needs. Now, what influences their buying decision? Are they the main decision maker, the main buyer? Do they have to like get it cleared through their boss or whatnot? We want to make sure we are designing proposals that demonstrate the understanding of the client's needs, including questions, concerns, or other objections that they mentioned during your call with them going through the sales process. Focus on value and benefits. And we went over the training last month was all about features and benefits. So, and then during the proposal stage, for your trial closing, you want to listen and watch for objections. When faced with an objection, you want to pause, acknowledge, listen to their concern. Ask the client for more information. Just make sure you fully understand it. And then present them with a solution. And we're going to be proactive salespeople and anticipate those objections. So we're going to have solutions at our fingertips. We want to make sure that we're presenting the solution to be present present the solution, be sure to present the benefits to the client. The whole features and benefits, that's what's important to them. Make sure it's meeting the client's needs and then confirm with them the details to ensure that you've won that business. Make sure you're confident, which I know you all are. Again, sell that value, demonstrate it. Make sure you're informing them why you're the best option. So now, I sent everyone the handout, and in there is a blank objection little chart. I think it's on the next page. 1 second. It looks like this. Expected objection, probing question, and then the best possible answer. So I'm going to give you all just a couple minutes. Write down a couple of your objections that you've been hearing, a probing question to it, and then the best possible answer to overcome that objection. And then we'll go over a few as a group here in a couple minutes, okay? Okay, do I have a couple volunteers to share their objection, probe, question, and best possible answer to overcome? If not, I'll call you out. Bueller, anybody? All right, Blake, I haven't heard much from you. Give me one.
Sorry, my computer's being extremely slow, so I was trying to get it downloaded and I'm a little bit behind. What we've got lately is there's not a restaurant on property or nearby. The question that we have is how many people are really eating at the hotel every time they come through. If it's a group, that's what we've gotten a lot lately. And then with the capacities that COVID has had, not everybody's really going to be able to eat together anyway, is kind of the response that I have back with them. So it gives them the flexibility to choose where they go. And, even if they were all to be able to sit together, in theory, the practice is not actually the way that it's going to work right now in our area.
Right. Good example. Anybody else want to share? Kim Guston, are you on there?
Yeah, sorry, I had someone in my office. So something I wrote down is more looking at group rates, and then people will go online and look at the rates we're selling at. And so then they'll want the rate you're selling at, which may not always be available. So the way that I resolve that objection is telling them, even though it shows that selling rate currently, our rates fluctuate. And when you have a group, we're going to hold out that amount of rooms for you and guarantee you that rate and lock it in. And those rooms are available to you up until this date, whereas our rates will continue to fluctuate and we may not have that many rooms available at the time of your event. So you're basically following up with why the group rate is a good rate, why it's the best available offer to them, and the services you're providing to them with that group rate.
Definitely. That is a perfect example, Kim. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And a great way to overcome it as well. I'm sure everyone's had that issue at their properties too. Anybody else want to share? One more. How about Les? I'll call in a GM. Les, did you write one down?
I have not at the moment.
Shannon?
I wrote down the objection would be free airport parking. We had a lot of guests call to inquire about, staying and getting the free parking. The probing question would be, well, how long do you guys plan on vacationing or being away or needing the parking? And my best possible answer would just let them know that we're more cost effective than parking at the airport, whereas we have that flat rate. The airport, it changes day to day.
Correct. And you've got the awesome shuttle available 24/7.
Right.
More convenient for them. Right. Thank you everyone for sharing. Here's a few on here. So breakfast, we talked about, well, how many people are actually going to eat breakfast? How many people do you need it for? What else are they offering with that rate? Are your travelers members of our loyalty program? With depending on what brand you're at, if breakfast isn't included and you're like a focused full service, depending on your tier status, you can sometimes get the option to get extra points or free breakfast. So breakfast might not even be an issue to object. Rate, again, we talked about, so a probing question. What were you expecting? What have you paid in the past? Did we ask them what their budget was when we were going through the sales process and qualifying their business? What are you comfortable with paying? And then a good possible answer, rate's the best I can offer. Our rack rate is this amount, which is this percentage off, and it's the best rate guaranteed. And then again, what it includes, our free Wi-Fi, our parking, our 100% satisfaction guarantee, for an example. And then LRA status. So say you have a client that has some very last minute needs and they need to make sure that when they have the last minute need, their discounted rate is going to be available. So if they object, we're not going to give them LRA status. Well, what's last minute to them? How far in advance? Is it same day that they're needing the reservations? How frequent do they have those last minute changes? And then a way to overcome that is we can give them that status that they need if they commit to a certain number of room nights and sign an agreement with us. Okay. So in the land of sales, we all know that when we get an objection, sometimes we do have the opportunity to negotiate. So what is a negotiation? It's pretty much a conversation between two people, two parties that want to work together but have some differences that need to be resolved before coming to an agreement. Key about negotiation is they're not one-sided. There's 4 different types of outcomes that you could get when you're negotiating with a client. No deal is an example of one where you just kind of agree to disagree, but the relationship remains intact when it ends positively. Negatively, it can sometimes destroy the relationship and you could lose that business if you weren't able to come to some sort of an agreement. There's the win-lose, where we would get a good deal, but the client's not necessarily fully happy. There's a lose-win situation where we could give away like too much money and they got more than what we really wanted to give them. And then there's the win-win, when both parties are satisfied. So what's the difference between negotiating and selling? Trades. Trades the difference between negotiating and selling. So trade is small gesture. It's attractive to the client, meets one of their needs, they have value. Trades are a very positive thing. They can help you build trust with the client and get the client what you and they want. And then they can be negative in some instances as well, where you give something and then you don't get it in return, or you give something that's not really easily deliverable. So give me some examples of some things that you can trade at your hotels.
Meeting space?
Room rental, yep.
Audio visual cost.
There you go, that's a good one.
LRA status.
There you go.
Luggage storage.
Breakfast.
Luggage storage, that's a good one.
cost. Breakfast is a huge value.
Breakfast, definitely.
Comp room?
A complimentary room, like, yeah, 1 per 15 or 1 per 40, whatever. Those are all really good. There's a few other ones on here. Receptions, breakfast, comp rooms, talked about that. Internet, like upgraded internet. Like a food and beverage discount, maybe. Stuff like that.
Complimentary
Parking.
suite upgrades.
There you go. That's a good one.
Jen,
Yes.
one thing to me that stands out when we know we're in negotiations is having the knowledge of which side actually has the leverage.
Mm-hmm.
There are some situations that we enter into any negotiation that one party versus the other might be in the strength position. And just knowing that, particularly for us, is important.
Most definitely. And thus, that was a great lead into the next little activity we're going to take a few minutes to do. So again, in this packet, there is a trade list chart in there on the next page. And so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes and we're going to go list some items from here of the sample trades that we have up here. Some typical, negotiating with customers that you do at your hotels. And we're going to list the fee that we would charge for that item. So like, for example, like an LCD projector. I know some hotels charge like $100 or $150 for that. So what would we charge the customer for that would be the second part of it. Hang on, let me change this slide. There it is, fee charged. So this is the chart that you're going to be filling out here in a second. And then what does it actually cost us? What does it cost the hotel for each item? So the cost should reflect our hotel's cost to provide the service. You might need to like ask your GM or someone in accounting maybe, depending on what your trade item is, on what the cost is. So like, what is our actual cost? Breakfast, for example, we charge what, $12.95 for breakfast, hot cooked to order, but what does that actually cost the hotel? So that'd be something maybe your food and beverage manager or your GM could let you know. And then the financial impact of the hotel is next on the chart. So providing that item, breakfast, for example, to the customer at a discount, work with your general manager and determine if the financial impact for you, for the hotel, is high, medium, or low. And then the same concept there for the customer. How do they perceive that item? What's the value to them? Do they consider it high? Was breakfast really important to them or no? Or, for example, like Wi-Fi, free upgraded Wi-Fi. Was Wi-Fi important to them? No, then it probably wouldn't have a very high impact. It would be low. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes to fill out a couple trade items here. And the fee charge that we charge the customer, what it actually costs us, and then is it a high impact to the hotel financially, and then what's the perceived value to the customer. And a good way to understand the value to the customer, ask them to rate or rank what their priorities are, which is most important to you. And you can leverage that when you're doing your negotiations. And then just truly make sure you understand the cost of some items by talking to your general manager. They'd probably be the best one to give you that info. I bet there's some of them that could tell you what it costs to turn a light on in the meeting room.
You know how much it costs to turn a light on in the meeting room?
49 cents per occupied room. And our
And after we go through a few of these examples, I'm gonna get you guys out of here. Quick and painless, right? All right, do I have a couple volunteers?
Well, one I have is Park and Fly, because currently we have Park and Fly at $30 for up to 7 days. And if you have a client that is maybe on an extended trip, you could offer them up to 14 days, waive the Park and Fly. That's no cost to us, and it's a huge impact to the client.
Great example. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Michelle, do you have an example of one?
I wrote down our pet fee that we have, and it's $100. It's non-refundable. The actual cost of the hotel, I would say anywhere between 0 if the pet doesn't do anything, or up to 200 or 300 if we have to pay for professional cleaning or additional materials. The financial impact to the hotel is low, and then the perceived value to the customer, sometimes they think they should get it for free, other times they think it's great that we offer it, so I just put medium.
Okay, awesome, good example.
Thank you.
One more, how about Casey? I haven't heard much from you.
Oh, I don't know if I did this right, to be honest. So like you said projector, sorry, I kind of got busy. So you said projector originally, so like we offer that with like our meeting space, so there's 0 fee to the customer. The actual cost to the hotel is 0 because we already own it.
Right.
So the financial impact is low, and then they perceive it as high. Is that correct?
Yep, that's perfect. Good job.
Okay.
And then I've got a few more examples on the next slide. Kim talked about parking. There's internet. Breakfast room rental. That's a good negotiating tool that someone brought up earlier. Usually at those full service properties, they'll waive some rental if they give them a food and beverage minimum. Okay, I'll waive your rental if you spend this much in catering with us, kind of deal. Comp room's always a good negotiation tool, especially if they have like some VIPs or something, or comp upgrade. Rewards points that I know a lot of you have been using to convert business, so that's always a good one. It's very minimal cost to the hotels, like less than a penny. But people love them points, so the perceived value with that's usually pretty high. AV equipment we talked about. If you do have like well, everyone's got a little like snack or pantry area in the hotel, so you could give them some credits for that as well, and it's got a low minimal cost to the hotel. So you always want to strive to get something that's, you know, low financially on the hotel side, but that the customer perceives to be a high value. So any questions? All right, well, I hope everyone got a little bit out of this training to use in their daily selling lives. And I appreciate you all for attending, as always, and thank you much, and have a good rest of your day and week.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.